Hi, welcome back. Tonight's video was supposed to be a video about making some brass fingers for a steady rest for my lathe, fixed steady. Um, the lathe didn't come with one, so I thought it'd be fun to make one. And so step one was to make some fingers out of brass. Now, unfortunately, that's the what I ended up with, the mess. I've got a bit of video to show you of preparing the mould and getting the furnace hot and pouring the metal and everything. Um, so let's watch that and we'll come back and talk about what went wrong. Okay, so I've started off quite well, putting the pattern in the drag, which is the bottom part of the mould, and riddling on some facing sand. Then put on a load of sand on top and trying to ram it in as best I can. And our first problem here is that the box is far too big for the casting that I'm doing, and in fact the amount of sand I've got, because I can't actually fill both sides of the mould. You can see the other side just on the left there. And in fact it's so big that I actually had to fit some bits of shelving bracketry to stop the sand falling out. I mean, it works quite well now. So as you can see, just scraping off the sand there. Yeah, having a quick inspect. It also didn't work terribly well because my piece of wood that I was doing it on wasn't very flat, but worked well enough. Plenty of parting powder means that when I put the mating bit of sand on top, it came away okay, and didn't really matter that there was a bit of a bulge in the middle. Just cutting the pouring basin there, getting it ready, and then an interesting thing happened. The lid of the crucible got stuck or sealed on. And I was a little bit worried about that, so I thought I'd poke it from a distance with the garden hoe, and tried to get it off, but nothing would move it. It was a bit strange, so I decided to take it out, and yeah, tried a bit more. Had a bit of a think, and then so I decided to cool it down. And as I walked away, bang! Yeah, never put a hot crucible down on wet paving slabs. Bits of concrete flew around everywhere. Then that was slightly unnerving. So I put it back in, and actually it wasn't going so badly after that. Threw in a load more door handles, put the lid back on, threw more coal in, got it going again. So just quickly did some scratch vents there and closed the mould back up. The fire was going quite nicely. Threw in a load more brass. Unfortunately, in this shot, I managed to get the part of the tripod in view. It's because I'm using a mobile phone clamp, and that unless I get the phone quite far enough over, especially with this this particular zoom level, you end up seeing that bit of the tripod. Now, I took the crucible out after having got the crud out of it, and unfortunately I managed to stand right in the way of the pour, so I cut to where it finished, and this is just at the end when I found a piece of brass which had dropped in the furnace and had not in any way melted. It was right by the air inlet, that might be a reason why, but as you can see on the right there, there's a bit of brass that was from the bottom of the crucible, and that had not melted. Well, I mean, it had at some point, but I think I hadn't got enough fuel in the furnace. It was molten at the top, but clearly there were some not so molten bits in it, and actually looking at the metal that I poured out, it's not very pure looking, so I don't think I got it quite hot enough to get all the grot out, and obviously definitely not hot enough at the bottom. So question is, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to get one of these. Now, the main thing about the furnace that I've got is it's coal fired, and it's really filthy. It's not that pleasant, as you can see from the video. Loads of smoke, so not very neighbour friendly, and constantly having to recharge it with more coal. Had the bottom of the crucible freezing up, so just lots of issues, which are kind of neatly fixed by getting a gas-based furnace. So I've ordered one of these. By the looks of things, it's going to take about a month to arrive, or 3 weeks, something like that. So once I've got one of those, I will have another go at casting those brass fingers, and we'll see how well that works. So there's a couple of other things to improve upon as well. One is the flask. So I've ordered some angle iron, and I'm going to make up some metal flasks, much like the videos I've been watching. And I'm also going to improve this pattern just a little bit. To be honest, it worked fairly well in terms of it's a 3D print. It worked fairly well in terms of leaving the right shape in the sand, but all these sharp edges were sort of catching on the sand. So I'm gonna put a radius on as much as I can. I've already got draft angle. Yeah, found the Fusion 360 feature for that, so that was quite handy to be able to just sort of click on faces and it'll put draft angle on. The runner probably needs widening up. I just basically just made this up without really measuring, or I didn't measure anything. I just drew it on Fusion 360 and hope for the best. And then finally the sprue, I think that needs to be a little bit larger diameter. Obviously made it to fit the runner that I've got there. If I'm increasing the runner width, I'll increase that. And that's about it, really. I will make another video about making the flasks and doing the ramming up the sand and getting the mold out of the sand. That was one thing I forgot to do, was put any kind of holes in here for putting a screw in or something to actually lift the thing out. So I was there for ages. I'm going to cut it all out of the video because it was I was in the way most of the time. But yeah, it was rather difficult to get out. So it needs some little access holes to put a screw in so I can lift the thing out of the sand. But yeah, so there's some improvements to make there, but it's all a learning curve. And one other thing, DRO project is very nearly finished. There's still one or two little bugs to iron out, and when I've got it sorted, I will make a video about that. But it fundamentally works, and yeah, so all being well, there'll be another video relatively shortly. Thanks for watching. See you next time.